Sure, you don't need me to tell you the result of the French elections now. The president-elect is one Emmanuel Macron. He will become the country's youngest president, actually, at the age of 39. Very young, very suave, very good-looking, and got a lot of charisma, I gather. He is what they call an independent centrist, very much occupying the sort of centre political ground. And he beat the anti-EU, anti-immigration far-right leader, Marine Le Pen. He got 66% of the vote. She got 33%. And it was a two-stage vote. There were many more candidates a couple of weeks ago. Then that got narrowed down to two. And yesterday, yesterday, the French people actually went to the polls and voted in Emmanuel Macron. So what do French people here in Berkshire make of the result? Let's talk to Olivier Picard, who's a pharmacist and joins me from Reading now. A very good morning, Olivier. What do you think of the result?
Well, good morning, Anne. I mean, obviously, in the second round, I think in the mind of French people, and certainly the French people living in England, there was no shout as to what the decision was going to be. And I think you will find that the French people living in Berkshire have voted overwhelmingly for Emmanuel Macron.
Even though you don't really know much about him.
No, we don't. I don't think it's the first time that we see sort of a youngish politician being elected. David Cameron was elected very young himself when he was elected in 2010, albeit maybe a few years older. I don't think that's necessarily a problem. Is certainly, in my opinion, and probably the opinion of quite a few of my French friends living in Berkshire, perhaps the only option that there was, and any other result would have been a European catastrophe. I think we can probably agree on that. This result is a setback for sort of the right-wing populist tide threatening the Western countries, developed countries. Obviously, we saw with uncertainties following the Brexit vote. We see what's happening in America with Donald Trump. All these things bring uncertainty. I think French people will have also some uncertainties following the result, but it's a more conservative approach, more a safer vote than going for the right wing.
In a way, isn't that a criticism slightly of the voting system? In the end, you got a choice between two candidates, one of whom is very is not a professional politician, really. I mean, or at least a very inexperienced politician. You either got him, or you voted for a very far right candidate, and obviously a lot of people didn't want that. So, in a way, not much of a choice.
No, there was not much of a choice. In the first round, there was a lot more choice, and you described in your introduction the two rounds that the French system offers the voters. And in the first round, obviously, having more candidates, each candidate gets a lot less percentage of the vote. The democratic system in France means that the two rounds, you eventually end up voting for a person as well as a party. But we all know that Macron is not a political party; it's a movement. And really, the key question now, having the democratic system sort of spoken, it's whether he will be able to sort of change his campaigning into governing and his slogans into actions.
Yes, because as you said, it's more of a pressure party than a political party. It's more of a movement than a political party, En Marche. He hasn't actually got any MPs, has he?
Correct, he hasn't. And in about 5 or 6 weeks' time, we go to the poll again, when this time we vote for our MPs, Parliament election. And it's what happens between now and then. Can he, and the same for the opposition, because let's face it, French people have voted 34-35% in favour of the right wing of Le Pen. Therefore, will she be the opposition in Parliament?
That's what she wants to be seen as, isn't it?
I think she does.
That's what she said in a speech.
I think we will see see what happens. I think she, being the daughter of her father, and we all remember what happened a few years ago when her father, Le Pen, was facing Chirac in the second round of the election. It didn't really translate into then MPs in Parliament at the time. And I suspect it is likely to be the same here, especially as I think that the right-wing party saw Marine Le Pen's weaknesses in the last couple of weeks, especially in the presidential debate on television last Wednesday, which really showed her slightly out of her depth, and it's what happens then. So now we have both Macron, Le Pen, and the other party having to sort of gather MPs, campaign again. The polls which got it right in terms of this election, and which allowed French people to breathe a sigh of relief, I think, are now predicting that Macron will get about 30% of whatever 580 odd seats there are in French Parliament. That means that it wouldn't be an overall majority. It means that this is likely to lead to some sort of coalition. Something that French people are not used to. So again, uncharted territory. But in my opinion, and I'll repeat it again, a good result, and hopefully a safer result for France, a safer result for Europe.
That sounds good. Olivier Picard, thank you very much indeed for joining us.